All right, boys, we're back. So vampire counts. In my opinion, either Vlad or Isabella are the two lords to go for. Manfred's not bad, but Manfred starts at kind of an awkward. He doesn't have the special units to start off with to really help him dominate the early game campaign. It was a little bit different. Vargeists are really critical to early game vampire counts because they are such a strong unit. Vargeist used to be a tier 2 unit, and now they're a tier 3 unit instead. So instead, Manfred's campaign is much more difficult. Vlad starts with a couple Vargeists though, so he's in a much better position. Personally, I think Vlad or Isabella are the way to go now for playing the undead, playing vampire counts. But you could also do Manfred as well. Himmler's if you really want to meme it up with Krell, and Gorst if you really, really know how to abuse Wind of Death. I mean, really know how to abuse Wind of Death. I personally prefer playing as Vlad because you could turn 2 Drakenhof pretty easily. And because I really, really, really love Vanguard deployment. It is a faction effect, however, he still is allowed to use Vanguard deployment if you start as Isabella. However, if you play as Manfred and Confederate Vlad, he does not get Vanguard because it's all part of factional effects. So, most importantly, he also starts with Siege Attacker. Anyway, so this is the beginning of the campaign where it's pretty critical the steps you need to take. That's all right. All right.
Glory to you, Vlad, first of the von Carstein line. Though you are again ascendant, your rightful home, Castle Drakenhof, is kept from you by Manfred.
Yeah.
And there are yet more who would see you.
I'm gonna grab some water really back. I will be right back.
Brood control the lands to the north as far as the River Ster. They defy your hegemony as the first and greatest of the vampire counts. Raise the undead hosts, take their lands, and burn their crypts for this insolence. The high mountains to the south are infested with dwarfs. Your homelands will never be safe with such an enemy so close. Make plans to drive their stunted kind out. Greatness runs throughout the von Carstein bloodline, my lord. Your greatness. You are the master of Sylvania, of all unliving, and soon the world.
Thank you, Greg. Nerf Vlad. Okay. What was the longest campaign in terms? I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't really remember off the top of my head. It was over 200 turns for sure. But I couldn't honestly tell you, like give you a decent estimate. Okay, so the order of events here is fairly important, just to make sure that we do it. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking Castle Drakenhof. You can try to play Vlad and just take Templehof and whatever else, and leave Vlad or leave Manfred, all of this shit. The reality is that without the gold mine and the capital that is Drakenhof, you make no money as Vlad. So you either run around with a really shitty army and try to fight Empire, which doesn't work out very well because you don't have access to Vargeist. And Vargeist are such an incredibly powerful unit against Empire. Or you just simply take Drakenhof. So, here's how you take Drakenhof turn 2. Now, it is a capital, so it does have a better than average garrison. And, of course, you're going to be dealing with Manfred. So, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and hop over to Drakenhof's side.
I know the way.
Okay, we are trespassing, so we are officially in that territory. We're going to go ahead and raise his debt. The reason being is the first thing that he's going to do is he's going to recruit a new lord here at Drakenhof, and he's going to raise debt. We're going to have to fight that lord and then any of the raised dead that he has in this settlement. Vampire counts share the raised dead pools of other factions.
I know my
here you could recruit more. Whoops. More raised dead if you wanted to. Which I think I'm going to go ahead and do, actually. I don't think we'll be that shy on terms of cash. And I'd like the extra couple units. This is not necessary. You can take it with just that initial raised dead and be just fine.
Who wishes
We're also going to go ahead and embed both of his vampires in his army.
Darkness comes. Dance macabre.
And then the other really critical thing to do is to go ahead and start up Blood is Power. Blood is Power is super critical. You get a little bit of growth. You get 10% growth. Or I'm sorry, you get 25% or plus 25 growth between the two technologies. The most important part is that vampire counts make the majority of their money from their settlements, from their higher tiered settlements. So if you look at just your regular settlement, tier 3 settlement already makes 320 gold per turn. Okay, and I think that goes up to 720 on just regular tier 5s, and then Drakenhof itself makes a ridiculous amount of money. So that is where the majority of vampire counts make their money. So rushing Blood is Power is critical. That's the first thing you want to do. Is start Blood is Power, and then after we do Blood is Power, because that's going to take 19 turns. This tech tree is really cool, but it takes a long ass time to get through it. So Blood is Power is going to take us 19 turns. After that, we're probably just going to go straight to Incantations of Nagash. It looks like it's not a very long path, particularly if you're familiar with Warhammer 2. These take a lot of turns. This takes 66 turns. From here, at 100% research rate, takes you 66 turns to get here. So by the time we actually get to this point, it's going to be like turn 80-ish, something like that. Because I'm planning on getting a little bit of increased research. But this takes a long ass time. Those technologies, though, are super critical to moving forward with the game. So I'm also going to go ahead and build the Cursed Fields just to start off with. And I'm going to pass on the walls for now. I do need to build walls. I think we're okay, though. Worst comes to worst, we'll just disband units so that we'll be at flat income.
bow before me.
Anyway, so that's the important stuff. In Warhammer 1, you could have recruited Isabella and she would have helped you. But Drakenhof starts at tier 1 now instead of tier 2. The tier 1 garrison is way easier than the tier 2 garrison. Tier 2 garrison has Graveguard in it. Killing Graveguard with skeletons and Vargeist is much harder. Much harder than what we're going to end up dealing with just like Crypt Ghouls and stuff. So that is how we're going to start it. So this is the critical start here. This is how we start. So what's going to happen next turn is Manfred's going to move up here. He's going to fight Templehof up here. They're going to recruit a lord here and attempt to raise dead, but because their pool is exhausted, they're not going to have that. They're not going to have access to that. So we're going to take Drakenhof, though. It's critical that he moves away from Drakenhof, though, because if he's within reinforced range, fighting Manfred is not out of the question. You can still win that battle, but it is so much harder. So much harder. Yeah, I'm always here to help, Rhett. See how that happened? That was a battle. So that was Manfred moving away, and look, he's got his lord, and he's attempting to recruit. Now, Zufbar is going to move their lord through my territory for literally no reason whatsoever. I have never to this day understood why dwarves do this. To this day, do not understand why they do that. It has to be scripted because they do it literally every single campaign. And I don't know why. It literally is just marching over to Karak Domar. Okay. So we're still okay. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna take Drakenhof here, and it'll be fine. Life is gonna be so much better. The important thing here is that Vlad has siege attacker. If you start this as Isabella does not have siege attacker, nor do any of her units. So taking for her, she takes Drakenhof like turn 3 or turn 4, which becomes a lot more out of the question because Manfred is allowed to go do his thing. So we're gonna go ahead and fight player war and fight them.
Death and destruction.
Okay, see where Manfred is? He's outside of reinforced range. So it's just the new lord that's been recruited and just the settlement garrison. Maybe so you can easily defeat the army and take their cities? I doubt it, CJ. I don't know. Anyway, so this is what you're going to run up against. Yeah, I mean, that tends to be the thing, though, CJ, is that they do end up usually getting confederated by dwarves. All right, so there's going to be a couple of things. This is going to be a very grindy fight.
Vlad von Carstein.
And it's going to take a while. It's going to take like 20 minutes or something like that. So if you're doing this, have some patience, because it's going to be a little while. It's going to be a while. Remember that Vlad does give all of his units Vanguard, so don't be dumb like I am sometimes and forget that. And don't Vanguard like you're supposed to.
Blood Knights.
And then Blood Knights need to go ahead and do this. I do this anytime I use cavalry, simply because this pulls away units to guard their door. I don't usually involve the Blood Knights in it, but eventually I will use the Blood Knights to flank in here. They're going to blob up at the door really, really heavy, which I'm okay with. We're going to blob up at the door too. Why not just set it lower? Set what lower?
Blood Knights.
Okay. Important thing is to get your bats and shit over here. The AI is typically pretty fucking dumb when it comes to involving their bats and Vargeist. If they do involve their bats and Vargeist, your life becomes a little bit more miserable because You can still win that battle, but you're going to probably lose a couple of units. The goal in doing this is to prevent losing any units that you can't immediately replace. So that includes Blood Knights, Vargeist, and probably Fellbats. They could have. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. So you don't need siege equipment here. You can just bash the doors. You're going to need to be a little bit careful here. We don't want to put Vlad in there yet. We're going to let the infantry soak up as much as they possibly can. Vlad does need to work his way through. Your DPS here is going to be Vlad and his vampires. But they can't get surrounded. They will start taking tremendous amounts of damage. Even though we're just dealing with Crypt Ghouls and Spearmen, these are level 1 level 1 Lords and Heroes. So you don't want to get involved in that fight. The Vargeist can cycle charge anything here that is vulnerable. For example, we could, if I wanted to, go and kill the Crypt Ghouls, which I might actually do. Since there's probably no reason not to. You want to keep them away from the Spearmen, though. The Spears get a pretty big bonus against large, and Vargeist are not very tanky. So anti-large is a big problem for them, especially Halberdiers. Halberdiers do a shit ton of damage to Vargeist. Vargeist are really, really potent. If they start to send units over here to fight, then we need to pull them back. I realize you can't really see it, but they're fucking up those Crypt Ghouls really badly. The important thing is just to be careful about this.
Vlad von Carstein.
The reason we did this, though, is just to pick off a unit of Crypt Ghouls before it became a problem later. Okay, we have a very meager amount of magic to start off with. That's 60 total. Oh, shit. I have fucked up now. Guess I put my Blood Knights in the city, and that's not good. That is not good at all. Don't think he's within range either. He's not. Yeah, see, this is where I probably should have not got cocky about it and just let it be. Because these Blood Knights are going to die. These will survive, but they're going to be at a much lower model count afterwards. So I need to try to bail them out as quick as I can. The problem is I can't use flying units here because they have double spear. They're going to end up fucking up. So instead, we're going to cycle charge here by putting the vampires in here. Vlad has a unique ability called Master of Beguilement, which gives a -2 melee attack. Basically can neuter anything instantaneously. So we're going to send the bats in here. I don't have a campaign video for Clan Wars. Clan Wars is not one of the ones that I've played a lot of. I do know securing your home province is, of course, very critical. And getting it to tier 3 so that you can get... yeah, see, the bats are getting fucked up here. So that you can get artillery as quickly as possible. Artillery is incredibly critical for Clan Wars.
I need blood! All life must end!
Those bats are getting fucked up really bad. I'm not a big Skaven player, so I don't really play Clan Wars at all. So unfortunately, I don't have a particularly good opener for you. If he's ever around, there's another guy who's in the community a lot who plays Skaven a fuck ton. And when I say a fuck ton, I mean literally that's pretty much the only faction he plays. and he could give you advice. Name's Scotty KBC. And he could tell you all you could ever want to know about Skaven. Twitch main on league, so I gotta play Skaven. Fair enough. I feel you. Okay, now I need to pull them out. I need to make sure that the Vargeist don't take too much damage here. Vargeist are super critical along with the Blood Knights. Unfortunately, I've already fucked up with the Blood Knights, so they're going to get a little bit more babying than they probably should. I need to pull them out, all of them. Yeah, it's Elich too. Hang on. You guys are not familiar with Elich. Elich is amazing, as well as Nerd Rage Fitness. Nerd Rage is probably going to go live not too long after I get off here. So if you are European, Nerd Rage and Elich both stream European hours. He's not streaming today? Whoops. I thought it was only Mondays. Oh, he's away till Tuesday. Oh, shit. Yeah, you would think that I would know that. My bad. Well, you can still shout out Nerd Rage Fitness and catch him when he is live. I need to talk to Nerd Rage more, honestly. It's a shout out.
Lord of the dead. Blood!
Thank you, CJ. Good night, Lockjaw. And thank you for Elich, too. Yeah, those gentlemen will help a lot. Elich usually has bigger streams, so he doesn't answer a lot of, like, newbie questions a ton. Not saying that he doesn't, but Nerd Rage and I are generally more suited more towards beginners, whereas Elich is really good about like meta game. Have a hard time controlling him. What do you mean by a hard time controlling him? Try that movement command and see if that might help. I need to get the Blood Knights out of there. The Blood Knights are getting fucked up there. And I need to put the 3 on here. Yeah, 2-bit adventures. It's an odd thing. I'll do the follow-up battle too, because Manfred will come and siege you after this. I'll do the follow-up battle right after this. And then I'll probably end for the night. It's super critical, though, that you do the recruit. It's super important that you do the raise dead to start off with, because if you don't, they'll end up getting those. And so fighting this battle with the extra zombies and skeleton warriors and spearmen, it becomes much, much harder. There's nothing wrong with using slow motion. If you need it to learn how to play the game, do whatever you have to do to learn the game. It's your money that you spent on this game. Use the tools necessary in order to learn it. Playing on slow motion, there's no reason to feel bad about that. Okay, so Lord's dead.
This world is mine. Kill
If we can kill these, I'm okay with sending in the Vargeist. Use slow motion and pause early game as much as you possibly need in order to get the understanding you need to figure out like what is actually happening. Like on Legendary, it's fine not using slow motion or pause or anything like that because I'm used to the way that the game flows. And now it would be jarring to use pause, but early game, like if you're not really familiar with the game, using pause is important. Yeah, starting somewhere is important. So it's perfectly fine to ask questions. I think I can dive them now without much risk, because they're already looking like they're going to break. You got to be really careful with using Invocation and a Heck. Those of you not familiar with Vampire Counts, Invocation and a Heck is quite possibly one of the most powerful spells in the game. Easy top 5 for sure. Next, with this level up, we're going to get the overcasted version of Invocation and a Heck, and that's going to be able to allow us to heal in a big AoE instead. How long did it take to learn the game? How many hours have I played? I've played in Warhammer 2 for 1,400 hours, and I played Warhammer 1 for 550 or something like that. The game does have a bit of a learning curve. It'll take you probably, I don't know, 150 hours to like understand the basics and have a good strong campaign going. But I mean, I still learn shit all the time. There's a lot of knowledge in this game that isn't readily made available, which is shitty, but that's just what it is. God, use this use that instead. So when you select all like that, if you hold left alt and then left click drag, it'll move in formation the way that you're looking at for it to be. So do it like that. You could actually do let me see if I can do this really quick. Welcome back. Yeah, YouTube is a good source as well. I personally think that Twitch is superior, not only because I stream on it, but also because it allows you guys to ask questions. This is turn 2, Kelby. This is the attack of Drakenhof. You kind of missed the first turn, yes. So if we're moving the bats like this, if you were to select them normally and then just move them, they would move to a flat line. But if you hold left alt, you can then move them and make them move just like you wanted them to. See how they're not fanning out like that? That's using the movement command, or using the link I have there in chat. Okay, so they don't have anything else, and technically they should be losing this because they don't have any. They still control the control point, but they don't have any ground units. Oh, sneaky cheaters. What's going to happen here is we're going to move up this corridor, and we're going to get charged by Vargeist. Yeah, use that text. Use that as much as you need it. It helps out a ton. Especially for moving in formation. Because that usually is one of the first things to get fucked. If you select your army and stuff like that, and like say you move your artillery, but then your artillery moves to the side and shit like that, it's pretty unfortunate. I should be healing here. But I'm being dumb. Invocation of Heck does resurrect units. So as long as they haven't hit a regen cap, if you look and see at the Blood Knights, you see that little bar that's over their health bar like that? That's their regeneration cap. The regeneration cap means that I can't use Invocation of Nehek to heal them and resurrect them anymore. They're stuck at it. However, they're at 12. We're going to fast forward it. 13. 14 models. 15. Okay. That's really important for moments like this. We've still got enough for 2 more invocations. So as soon as we engage the Vargeist, we're gonna end up fighting, or we're gonna end up losing the opportunity to heal any further. As long as we end this battle with 15 Vargeists, it'll be like they took no damage. Or rather, they'll still have lost a model, but that's not nearly as big of a deal. I would be healing the Blood Knights, but they're capped. Alright, so we're gonna move up in formation. Actually, I'm going to move the Blood Knights behind here. They're going to charge the Blood Knights first.
Swiftly.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal that I can't regen the Blood Knights anymore. It's actually a really big deal. We'll still be okay, but it kind of sucks. We're going to just inch up and allow them to come to me. They'll charge. As soon as we get close enough, the AI automatically will charge. Hey, Dreadhead. Wait, weren't you here earlier, Dreadhead? Or was that yesterday? Was that yesterday? Shut up, CJ. Okay. There we go. Okay, so they're going to charge. We're going to cast Vlad. The first thing that they're going to dive on one of them, we're going to put the Master of Beguiling on them. Make sure that they don't do anything. And then we're going to countercharge with Vargeists and the bats. I should have brought the bats up. We were braced so they lose a lot of their charge bonus. Bracing happens anytime that a unit is standing still. That should be the mass route. Yep. Okay. That's Castle Drakenhof. Even though I fucked it up a little bit, still okay. Still okay. Just got to be careful about the Blood Knights. Do not want to lose them. They are way too valuable right now. And they will be valuable for the entire campaign. In theory, I'll never lose the Blood Knights. Okay. And then we're going to settle it. I've never tried Subjugate, but I think that's a horrible, horrible idea. You need Drakenhof. It's got a gold mine, and it's the Vampire Count capital. You want to just occupy this shit. Hey, Hans. Okay.
Vlad von Carstein.
So Manfred does not have an arm. It does not have a city left. So he's going to take
All shall know me and tremble.
attrition. He's going to take attrition. Plus, we're back in the positive for a turn. So there's a couple of things that you want to take early game, the first 5 turns or first 5 levels or so. I like to go ahead and pick up Invocation of Nehek as early as possible. Just because Invocation of Nehek's overcasting is super, super powerful. The other 2 things are, of course, Are of Supremacy and the Restless Dead, and then Covenant of Undeath. You need to pick up a Covenant of Undeath at turn 4, or rank 4. It is one of the most powerful single point abilities in the entire game. This means that Vlad will always have a rank 9 army. Always. Same with any armies that you're fielding. This actually used to buff, because it's all armies faction-wide, it actually used to buff garrisons as well. So garrisons would be rank 9 garrisons as well. It was really, really powerful. I'll show you, Tolan. I'll show you in this next battle. So we're going to take the overcasted version of Invocation of the Heck. Invocation of the Heck is already powerful enough because of the heal and the resurrect. Giving it an AoE effect on all of your units increases its importance tenfold. I cannot stress enough how powerful overcasting Invocation of the Heck is. Vampire counts are literally balanced around Invocation of the Heck. That's how important Invocation of the Heck is. They are literally balanced around how powerful it is. Anyway, so I don't care about the cemetery. We're not going to need it. I'm going to pick up the gold mine immediately, though. That extra 500 income is incredible. Hey, Otto Tom. Best spell in the game? I am partial to agree with you on that, yes. So anyway, so we can end turn. So this is turn 2. So remember earlier in the campaign, we raised dead, so Manfred can't raise any more dead, and he needs to replenish. So he's going to come and fight us at Drakenhof. I mean, Wind of Death is really powerful. But like I said, the entire faction is built around how powerful Invocation of the Heck is. Yep. Yep. Oh yeah, they end up helping us here too, by the way, because Templehof is at war with them. Overcast, it won't fail, but it will deal damage to yourself. Yeah, they'll miscast. Sensor bearers do have physical resist, Grimwest. Okay, so Templehof was so kind to go ahead and fight Manfred for us a little bit. So this is what Manfred is left with after his army is going to go fight. We, of course, still have a nice, perfectly fine 18 stack. Plus, we're actually going to get the garrison as well. It'll still heal. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. So Manfred doesn't have a choice here. I could actually auto this and be fine without any risk, but I don't really want to risk the Blood Knights this. But normally you can go ahead and do this. But since I wanted to show you about overcasting, we're going to go ahead and fight this no matter what. Now, confederating them is a waste of time. It's a waste of time to get Manfred, in my opinion. A long campaign, you might make arguments that getting Manfred is fine. But by the time that you could give Vlad, Isabella, and Manfred all decent armies, you'll be at like turn 150. Maybe a little bit earlier, but not by much. And then even then, you're going to have Manfred sitting there with no battle skills, no legendary items, no nothing. In my opinion, it's really just not worth it to get him. Because he's really useful later on. Like when he gets a zombie dragon and you can do stuff like that. But no, I mean like turn 100. I mean, he's the third army, and I'm talking about a full quality army. I'm talking Graveguard, Terrorgeist, Vargolfs, Crypt Hordes if you want, Mortis Engines. I'm not talking about, yeah, he's running around with some skeletons and maybe a couple maybe a couple Vargeists. I'm talking the whole shebang, Doomstack. Because we have to remember that vampire counts require a ton of money for infrastructure. So your armies are going to be very, very lean. Yes, I will show him just a moment.
Hungry for blood.
Just a moment.
Blood's nice.
Okay, so we get Vanguard, go right into him. We're actually going to get the garrison too. It doesn't really matter. I'm fine with this magic. Okay, so I'm going to have the aerial shit take care of the aerial. And then the Blood Knights have great anti-large. They're going to go fight the Vargolf as well as the Spearmen. Okay, so what is overcasting? You might have noticed that now I have 2 little arrows underneath Invocation of Nehek. That indicates that Invocation of Nehek can be overcast. So if you single click it, this is going to be a regular cast, just like it was previously. Remember how it was just single target clicking units like the Blood Knights? This is still regular Invocation of Nehek. However, if you double click it, see now how there's the 2 blue arrows underneath Invocation of Nehek? That indicates that you are overcasting. If you can see now, Invocation of Nehek is now an AoE instead. You can hold Alt. Normally the AoE will want to lock onto units instead. If you hold Alt, you can drop the Alt anywhere. Okay? So normally, like I said, the Invocation of Nehek will attempt to just lock onto targets instead. But if you hold Alt, you can put it literally anywhere you want. Okay? So it's really important that you end up grouping units, getting them into a nice little tight bunch like this, and then healing them all at the same time. So like here for Vlad, we're going to go ahead and invocate. All of these units are now healing. Anything that actually can fit into that circle gets heals. Anything that fits in that circle. So you can put your entire army, if you just layer them out, if you just keep stacking them on top of each other, like this, if you just keep stacking them over and over and over again like that, they'll attempt to hit collision as much as physically possible. If you hold spacebar, you can see their placement. Also, if you hold spacebar, you can get a bunch of extra information, which I always love. Anyway, see how tight that they can get now? Granted, this is only a few units, but this is representative of all the different units that can stack. All of the different units will attempt to stack on top of each other just like that.
Vlad von Carstein.
I thought Vargolf's still alive. Did I never send it? I never sent in the Blood Knights, that's why. We're here trying to figure out why that Vargolf isn't dead. No problem, Tolan. So for those of you who are not aware how overcasting works, overcasting changes some spells. When you go to overcast, if you look on the spell, do you see the double arrow above the replenishes units, hit points, and all that good shit? It'll show the miscast chance, which is pretty much always 50% or 35, depending on if you take, there's a talent in the tree. It'll pretty much always be that. Steel Faith rebalances that and makes it so that there are different miscast values. But most of the time, miscast will be a 50% chance. So you do need to be careful because it'll be a little magical explosion around your lord, or around your caster. But you can see what the added effects from overcasting are. So if you just single cast it, you can see that there's no double blue arrow. Instead, if you double cast it like that, instead you can see the additional effect area. Noble, thank you for your Twitch Prime, man. I have alert still turned off from earlier. But thank you guys for the follows. Thank you guys. Noble, if I can get some axes in chat, please, for Noble. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Manfred's trying to run like a little bitch. I'm not paying attention and not running it down him. There are some spells that become incredibly useful when they're overcast. And there are other spells that are really fucking useless if you attempt to overcast them. So you do need to kind of pay attention to what the overcast value is, or what you get out of overcasting, and only overcast spells that actually seem like whatever their effect is would actually be useful. A great example of that is if you go and use Pit of Shades, which is a shadow spell. Pit of Shades gets an incredible amount of armor-piercing damage on its damage, and it's great for shredding anything that has armor. Anything that has armor. And so normal Pit of Shades is good. Overcast Pit of Shades will delete a lot of things. By the way, I don't remember who asked earlier about moving my flying units in formation like that. I very rarely do. There's honestly no real reason, in my opinion, to do that, because flying units don't have much collision with each other, and so unless you need them to form a certain way because of towers or some other extraneous event, I don't really move them in formation. Withering, then Pit of Shades. I don't use Withering simply because I like to conserve winds. If you're using for maximum Raffle Stamp, yes, using Withering and then Pit of Shades is very powerful. Our Withering is what, like 9 wins or something like that. And considering on a good day you're usually getting like 80 wins, 100. I just would rather conserve that mana instead and just use another Pit of Shades later. That's my personal preference though. Manfred's actually hit region cap. See how we're healing everything in this area. Even if as long as they're not capped out, as long as they don't have that little bar over their health, they will all continue to get healed. They will get healed up to that bar. Okay, so Manfred killed 112 units. We lost 63. Okay. The 92 is because of a mod. I'll show you the mods for those of you who are unfamiliar with JR's Old World skill tree. So don't ever panic about 92. There's also this command too, those of you know. It's anytime you level up, it's not just level 40. We're gonna take a little heals. Yeah, I want those Blood Knights fully healed up as much as possible. I'm gonna dominate.
The von Carstein.
Okay. And then Manfred has nothing left than just the Fellbats because they had Dead Rise again.
Of light.
Go and auto resolve that. Let's do leadership.
Swifter than death. Bow.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing as von Carstein, it's really bad. We have 2 levels here. So one, we're going to take Covenant of Undeath, and the other one we're going to take is Restless Dead. The Aura of Supremacy is nice. We're going to end up picking that up next. So what that mod does, JR's Old World skill tree, if you've noticed, the Old World factions, they don't have this extra little bonus shit from what the new factions do. How the new factions get bonuses for veterancy, rank 7 and above. These things are so powerful, in my opinion, that CA has got to move and get this shit get this shit working. They've got to get this shit working. It's too powerful. So this mod kind of attempts to add in what would be, in theory, loreful. Sometimes that is not the greatest. Sometimes it's kind of shitty. Like too powerful is what I mean, and not quite balanced, but it's the only It's the only real mod that we have of anything close to it, so that's why I end up using it. So in my opinion, if you're going to play an old world faction, I would go ahead and download the mod. Just because there's a lot of moments. Normal vampire accounts normally have like just like the unliving host, and then they have this shit up here. Dark Pact. What else? Creatures of the Night, and maybe no, I don't think they even have Waking Dead, actually. They have some other really stupid red talent tree here that's garbage. It's just a waste of points. Vampire accounts have one of the worst, like, first 4 passive traits here, or upgrade. So getting the mod helps deal with that, because then later on you can just recruit an army and immediately start putting points into Waking Dead for the bonus for Graveguard. Otherwise, you're stuck with, like, getting a better leadership when attacking. Yeah, Izzy does. Izzy's a bit of an exception, though, CJ. She's a little bit of an exception. For my vampires, this is Shadows. So for vampires, I always go for Shadows. We're gonna get Pit of Shades as fast as possible. That's gonna be a huge DPS increase. And then for the other one, I like to go ahead and just get replenished troops. Lore of Death is okay, but it's not nearly as critical as Lore of Shadows is to me. So we need to get replenishment so that we pretty much, anytime we miss anything with Invocation and a Heck, replenishment is going to take over for us. So it doesn't really matter. I would say just keep playing, man. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. Don't stop. Don't give up. Just keep playing. Give it enough time, you'll get it. What is the movement chance for channeling? Okay, vampires don't have it in camp. They either have raid or channeling. So we're gonna move to 50% movement here.
Sleep is for the living.
And we're gonna channel. Try to get as much maximum replenishment as possible. And then we don't need to recruit a full 20 stack. This is fine. We're gonna be okay. In 3 turns, we're gonna start working on the. We're gonna get the gold mine. And then this will all disappear. We're gonna have quite a bit of money once we take all of starting Sylvania. We're gonna attack Waldenhof next. Basically, what happens is if you kill this lord and take Eschen, then you take Waldenhof. By that time, they'll recruit another lord in Tippelhof, and they'll come and sack Eschen, which is just a big waste of time. So instead, if you go and take Waldenhof first and then Eschen and then over to Tippelhof, they won't do that. It just honestly saves you a little bit of time. Hey, Tactical Buds. Yeah, Warhammer 3 is going to be huge. The Mortal Empire campaign is going to be crazy. It's going to be really fucking crazy. Yeah, the load times are going to be pretty crazy. We're doing all right. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for me. Yeah, I'll play a little more. I'll play a little.
All shall know me and tremble.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Withering first. No, I'm gonna take Pinstone first. And then her, we can go ahead and start getting Spear Leech. I think the new campaign pack will be. I honestly don't know. It's not gonna be Chaos Dwarfs. It's not gonna be Chaos Dwarfs. That's gonna be probably Warhammer 3. So we're gonna be real smart here, and we're gonna move
Float in darkness.
and then we should have enough movement range to go ahead and declare war on Tempelhof.
Vlad!
We can take Waldenhof. I know deep voices. I just enjoy.
Vlad von Carstein!
Actually, I don't need card mode on. Remember, Vlad starts with the Vanguard, so we are going to abuse it, especially against Empire. Especially against Empire, we're going to abuse it. See how I moved to the side there, and the skeleton spearman immediately moved to counter?
All shall perish!
Why do you say that, Rubio? Okay, so the important thing here is to pay attention to any kind of major losses that we get. And try to be reactive with Invocation. It doesn't, CJ, no. But I just want them to be in combat. That's the only thing I care about. Which is why I do that move order like that. You'll see me do it a lot this campaign. In my opinion, just getting them in combat as vampire counts is the most important part. Yeah, see, I'm not watching this, which is why that's happening.
Vlad von Carstein!
See, I'm not 100% convinced that they will do a settlement squish like that.
Bow before me! Blood knight! Swiftly! They shall bleed! Vlad von Carstein!
Okay, so we're gonna overcast. Heal everything that's here, including those wavering Vargeis.
The von Carstein's march! Vampire!
With haste! Swiftly! Strike them down! Blood! Hungry for blood! It is done!
Those Phobats haven't finished there.
With haste! For blood king!
The army losses might be kicking in soon.
This world is mine!
Not great, but it worked. I wasn't able to... At the end of battles, if you're not fighting the undead pretty much just end the battle as soon as they all crumble. But you can group up and do Invocation of Heck after. So you know how usually I run down things? Or like when I was playing Wood Elves, I was shooting shit in the back. In here, what we're going to do is going to move all of the undead together. And we're going to overcast Invocation of Heck and heal the entire army at once. And then you won't start out like this, where the beginning unit, whenever you would enter a new battle, it won't have a region cap like this. It'll have a much higher region cap. Okay, you don't want to loot and occupy or sack your own shit. This is our province. Let me go ahead and get a growth building here. Because confederating Manfred is way more time than it's worth. As I was explaining before, it takes probably 120 turns before Manfred can even have an army that's actually decent. And by that point, Manfred will be level 5, maybe. Because you're going to be wanting to give an army to Vlad first, and then to Isabella. That's a mod. Thank you. No, it's just a graphical bug. He actually is just level 5. But that mod adds this shit. Which to me is incredibly important. There's a visual bug that's never gotten fixed. Basically gives the old world faction love, like what the new world factions get. What if Zufbar still loses early game like they do before? Is the Vampire Ethereal army any good? I don't think so, no. As a trade-off to giving them Ethereal, they have incredibly low leadership. Which means that if they start to flank, if they get flanked or lose in combat or anything like that, they crumble incredibly fast. They'll end up doing more damage to themselves than what the physical resistance from Ethereal will prevent. So personally, I think it's a waste of time.
Under control. Cower before me. No mercy. The world will be mine.
Yeah, I'm always really confused about that. I really want to auto-resolve this, but I know auto-resolve is going to end up fucking me somehow. I think it's Kimmler, Bamalam, if you really want to try that strat. You'll need Kimmler. I think Kimmler has a unique line that gives him buffs to ethereal units. I think, if I remember correctly. Generic lords and any of the other legendary lords, the army is pretty much trash. I don't know. I still think it's kind of trash, but... And you gotta remember that they also have, like, Karen race have really low health. And if anything has magical or flaming attacks, they'll get just demolished. Hell cannons are like their worst nightmare. Yeah, that was a long time ago, Dr. Mold. That was Warhammer 1, wasn't it? They changed the way ethereal works, the way that the physical resistance shit like that works in Warhammer 2. And because of that, things are a lot different. Oh, I did one in the new patch worked out, huh?
Hungry
Really?
for blood.
I guess he used Kimmler, yes? I'll have to ask him about that then. Okay, so it is Kimmler. Okay. That being your monster. Yep. Yep.
I will.
Good night, Rubio.
This world is mine.
And honestly, now because it's all just kind of a grind, there's not much else like to do here. Just speed it up. You won't really lose much, but I don't trust auto resolve, so here we are. And catch all those units with invocation of attack.
Shed their blood. Vlad von Carstein.
Okay, now you can kind of choose where you want to go. I'm gonna go ahead and just go over with the Curse of Undeath. The Curse of Undeath does stack with Invocation of Heck. So anytime that you're using Invocation of Heck, you're actually healing them twice. The Curse of Undeath is basically a second, like, minor version of a map-wide Invocation of Heck. So it's pretty much always good to have Curse of Undeath. Otherwise, we'll probably put points into Flying Horrors because the bonuses to Vargeist early game are too good to pass up. Vargeist are going to put you on their back for early game and carry you to victory. Vargeist are such a terror to deal with as Empire or as early game dwarves. And we're going to use them a ton this campaign. Vargeist are quite possibly my favorite singular unit. That's like a specialized unit. Obviously, like things like Saurus are still going to be really, really good. But for a unit that performs pretty much in any situation you throw at it, Vargeist do wonders. I'm gonna get commands. I always do growth now, just because I think it ends up shaving a couple of turns off of getting Drakenhof to tier 4 and tier 5, which is super critical. It is your capital, and it does give huge bonuses to income. Actually, it's not technically your capital. Schwarzenhofen is always going to be your actual capital for trade purposes, but you will make a ton of money because of the income from all buildings and income from adjacent buildings or in regions adjacent to those. So Drakenhof is your pseudo capital. Have you noticed that Saurus have small armor and relatively low melee defense for shielded units, but ton of HP? They don't have that low. They don't have very low shielded defense. Well, they're still pretty good. The higher melee defense units are going to be like spears. Spears with shields are going to be the ones that have the really high melee defense. They do have tons of HP though. They do have relatively low armor to start with, but you get, after it's all said and done, an extra 21 armor or so. So they start with 60 and end up with 81, which is really nice. What are the pros and cons of Steel Faith? The pro is that it makes it basically an entirely different game because of how much balancing that they do in the game. The con is that it makes it into an entirely different game. And so a lot of the comparisons that you can make in vanilla become moot in a lot of situations. Because it is such an incredibly high overhaul mod, you get a very different experience. I've heard people talk highly about Steel Faith, but it is a learning curve. It is something that you're not going to be able to just pick up and be like, oh, fuck, yeah, this is just easy. It is widely considered to be like a step up in terms of difficulty from just vanilla. So if you're playing on Legendary, it's like extra Legendary. If you're playing on very hard, it's like playing on Legendary. So I would only be interested in Steel Faith if you were looking to play Steel Faith, if you really wanted a very different experience from vanilla. But I think that vanilla offers you a good enough experience for the most part that just keeping with it is fine. Steel Faith is upgraded a lot, or they do have a lot of dudes who work on it quite a bit. So yeah, Steel Faith is a lot more tactical. I had heard that as well, Harlequin. I had heard that as well. That being said, though, I do know that a lot of people do enjoy Steel Faith. Like, it still has a ton of downloads on things. As I understand it, the Steel Faith on Warhammer 1 is more widely accepted as being a better mod between the two games. But Steel Faith is still popular enough in its own. Oh, really, Harquin? Wow, I thought it was after. I thought he had left after then. Do they update sieges in it, or are they just better? No, I mean, sieges themselves are still basically the same. What makes it harder than ordinary legendary? They become... basically what happens is that the AI is designed to recruit much more intelligently. They move in a lot more intelligently patterns, and the scripted events that happen in vanilla, usually like the first like 10 turns or whatever else, those scripted moves don't happen nearly as often. As well as there are a lot of events that happen in game that are more geared towards steering a campaign in a different direction. For example, I know because I dicked around with a Vlad campaign on Steel Faith off stream, and basically the first couple of turns, they offer you the option of having Skaven Corruption in all capitals. Jebediah, thank you for the tier 1 sub, dude. I have alerts turned off right now, but thank you, dude. I got some X's in chat for the sub. They basically put Skaven Corruption in all capitals to simulate the Under Empire. And there are various events that will happen during the game that will either cause a Skaven rebellion to happen, or will cause you to lose income, or maybe you gain research rate, that kind of thing. Or you can disable that. It'll give you an option to say, do you want to play with the Under Empire in the first 2 turns? And then because I was playing Vlad von Carstein, another option that came up in turn 2 or 3 was that the Empire factions will, you can have the Empire factions have a separate coding happen, where the Empire factions will attempt to act more cohesively as an elector count. And so that if any 3, I think it's if any 3 factions of the Empire factions are attacked or at war with them, the other Empire factions will declare war on that faction as well. So as vampire counts, it's a lot harder to expand after the first couple of factions that you gobble up as against the Empire, because the other factions, the other Empire factions, will then turn on you and automatically declare war. So, for example, if for whatever reason, let's say we destroyed Stirlin, we destroyed Averland, and we destroyed Assen. After that happened, all of the Empire factions, including Kislev, I think, will automatically declare war on vampire counts. Yeah, you can kind of go back and forth. So, like I said, those opportunities for Steel Faith are unique, right? You won't get that in the vanilla game. However, it is still an overhaul mod, so you're gonna be getting a different experience than. It's not really just changing vanilla; it's completely obliterating vanilla. So, take with it as you will. If you want to dick around with it, it's fine. You'll find that it is usually a little bit harder, though. As like I said, a lot of the events don't change. Oh, the garrisons, the AI builds garrisons like way more often. And as you build like recruitment buildings, let's say that here, well, I guess Drakenhof's a bad example, but let's say at Waldenhof, right? We build a watchtower, right? You'll probably end up getting like a couple less units with the individual garrison itself. However, any of the other buildings that you build usually will add an extra unit or two. So like, let's say that you build a burrow, right? The burrow or the mausoleum might give you 1 or 2 units of grave guard. And so that will now augment your garrison. That'll happen with capitals as well. So when you're building your average capital, the garrisons themselves will be a bit weaker because they won't have quite as many units. But the other buildings that you add to them, let's say with Drakenhof, you might end up getting a unit of Blood Knights with your Vampire Keep. You might be getting a Mortis engine with your Necromancer Tower. So that way the garrisons become a lot more varied, and the garrisons are a lot more prevalent in AI factions now, because they're going to be building buildings just like that and be getting extra units all the time. That's just kind of how that works. Anyways, boys, I'm done for the day. I'm sorry. I hope that you guys enjoyed the little bit of a primer. For those of you who can't watch the beginning of the stream, either catch the VOD tomorrow as I begin it, or next couple of days. But basically, we're going to just end up taking the rest of Western Sylvania. We're going to end up taking all of this shit here. And then probably declare war on Zufbar. Drakenhof, because of the way that it works with the capital, since it gives income from all buildings and adjacent provinces, that affects any settlement that touches Eastern Sylvania. So that includes Ostermark, that includes Angrim's starting province, that includes Zufbar. All of these are modified. Even though these are going to be up in the mountains and you're going to lose less income initially speaking, once everything is said and done and you've ramped up, the unpleasant climate of the mountains is countered by the fact that you make that more money from Drakenhof. Going to the mountains also gives you the option of going to Gunbad, which is still a gold mine. There's a gold mine at Gunbad, and there's a gold mine up at Carrick Asgaraz, I think it's, or Carrick Ungor, I think. I don't remember the name. Carrick Ungor, yes, Carrick Ungor. So you have options of getting gold mines there, as well as a gold mine in Wolvenberg. Realistically, after the first 20 or 30 turns, whoever declares war on you dictates where you end up going. There's a lot of really good expansion ideas for either going north into Kislev and taking Ehrengred, because it's basically a second Marienburg, but far closer to home. You can go south through Border Princes. This is a lot of ports. Ports make a ton of money for vampire counts. They make 200, 400, 800, respectively speaking. Which is really important because vampire counts don't have a good income building short of just their cities. So you can see just a tier 1 settlement gives 160, but otherwise your income buildings are limited to just Gallows, which is 150, which is pretty small. They make their most money from cities and from building vampire keeps and necromancer towers. However, you can circumvent that if you get to ports, because ports are basically a free building that gives a shit ton of money. And then the final option is to go and push west into this territory and take and kill Empire, which is going to be a goal of the campaign anyway. But previously in the old campaigns, Empire usually died by themselves, so you really didn't have to intervene with them too much. Because New Empire actually seems to give a fuck and build things and confederate and stuff like that, we're probably going to go for Altdorf first. So. You do get money from the Banshee building chain too, that's true. But this is also still pretty minuscule. It's a tier 3 building. You can build them in minor settlements, but it's still 100 income as opposed to 350 and 500. There is technology, however, that you can get if you want. They'll give you an extra 30%. My experience, however, though, is that for cost, you're paying 4K to get an extra 100. Or you're getting more Banshees. Otherwise, this building is pretty useless. Getting the Banshees is really the reason why you get this building. The extra income is just to kind of like supplement it and make it not quite so bad. But this building, because Cairn Race and Hex Race are really not that great. Neither one of those units are particularly good. So realistically, building this is just to get more Banshees. Which is why oftentimes I'll skip this technology. Yeah, the money is a bonus, but that's not, I mean, it's not really where they're making money. I mean, realistically, you're paying the what ends up being 10K to get more Banshees. The money just kind of helps pay for itself eventually. But that's still what, 30% of that, so that by the end of it, that's 260. 260 for what you're paying for 10K in a building is not that great. So, but you are right. You do make more money. You do make money from the Banshee building as well. But that's not very viable to put in minor settlements. It's only more useful in capitals, because otherwise you can't get the tier 4 building. So, however, getting ports is the best way of making money. Anyways, boys, now I'm really gonna go. Now that I'm gonna stop talking about Empire counts. Anyways, if you're interested to see the rest of the campaign, make sure you catch the VOD tomorrow. But anyways, boys, that's gonna be it for me. I swear I'm actually ending this time. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the follows. Thank you guys for the support tonight. I know tonight was a little bit different of a night. I apologize for that. Hopefully that problem has sorted itself out by now. I'm gonna go ahead and send some love over to a dude. He is doing his 3-year stream anniversary, and he's also a member of Team Total Chaos. With me and Nerd Rage Fitness. So if you're familiar with Nerd Rage Fitness, I'm going to go ahead and send him some love. So if you guys can give him some love, that would be great. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night, boys.